Chapter 29. Stepping into the library, Lysol glanced at his father, Wilder and Drayton, sitting across from him. "Sit, Lysol," Harper said. He waited to give Lysol time to enter the room. Harper wore a stern look on his face. He wasn't smiling with them as he usually do. He sat with his leg crossed and his fist under his chin. Wilder and Drayton looked to Lysol. They never could tell what he would do. He always defied authority, but he wouldn't this time. He sat in a chair close to his father but away from Wilder and Lysol. "You and your brothers are becoming yearlings and you have a choice. You can remain here with me and your mother, or you can go on your own and organize your own pack. You don't have to decide now." He watched at them for a reaction. "If we have our own pack, will we have our choice of females?" Lysol asked. "That's all you think about? Fucking and how many females you can score with?" Drayton said. "That's because you have yet to get any of them to fuck you," Lysol said. "Enough of this," Wilder said. "Let's hear what father has to say." Wilder looked at Lysol and Drayton. He was the oldest and the voice of reason, but it wasn't enough to talk sense into Lysol. It took a firmer voice than a brother took an alpha. "I want you all to know that you will share everything equally. Everything that belongs to your mother and me. Our home and the hundreds of acres of land. And your status as alphas. Neither one of you can make the other a beta. It is up to you to decide how you want to handle this. And there is the matter of the cave." "What cave?" Lysol said, his ears peeking upward. "I had a cave built under a waterfall. It is hidden away from everything. You're ever in trouble, or you need a place to get away, it's there for you. All you have to do is keep it supplied with fresh food. Smoke the meat if you need to for the winter months, but keep it stocked with supplies. You never know when you and your family may need it. But never bring men to your cave." "But where is it, father?" Wilder asked. "You will see it soon. We have to stop there on our way to Alaska." "Alaska? What do I want with Alaska? I have everything I need here," Lysol interrupted. "We know what you need," Drayton said with a low growl. "You will need each other, so don't fight," Harper said. "I want you to promise me that you and none of your pack will fight. I will write it in a decree that all the werewolves and shifters have to sign, and all the humans who come into this town." Wilder, Lysol, and Drayton watched around the room. They played with each other as pups, but never had they thought about fighting with each other. "This agreement is for your mother's peace of mind, and because you have responsibilities to the other werewolves and shifters. There aren't many left. And if you continue arguing, it will lead to fights, and under no circumstance do you fight over a female. Share her, but never fight your brother over her. You don't have to worry about that, father. We don't have the same taste in females," Drayton said with a snicker, looking at Lysol. "Wilder is so secretive, he never says anything. We don't know if he has a girl or not. Just because I don't go around holding my cock and making wolf calls to get attention doesn't mean that I don't have a girl. But I have my sports and studies. That takes up most of my time. When the time is right, I'll find a mate. And you two won't know anything about it. I'll probably get me a female or one of the wercats," Wilder said. "I don't want a female. I like the humans," Drayton said. "What human female will want you?" Lysol said. "You are so boring. If a female human or werewolf came to you and said she wanted to fuck, you would ask her why," Lysol said with a loud laugh. "I wanted you to know what is going on in the world around you. And because of that, I'm taking you all to the north. Our last destination is Alaska. There's trouble there. The females are unable to produce, and because of that, they are being abused and displaced," Harper said to Wilder, who may have been the only one listening as Drayton and Lysol quarreled. "Let me get hold of one of those females. They will be producing like rabbits," Lysol said, shifting in his chair. "This is serious, Lysol. We leave on your last day of school," Harper said. Wilder sat silent and Drayton sat with a smile on his face. Lysol, however, sat with a furrowed brow. "I had plans. After the prom I had plans," Lysol said. "Plans on fucking as many of the females as possible. And father, Lysol has an apartment in town," Drayton said. Lysol looked at him with a narrowed glance, and his mouth turned down at the edges. When Drayton glanced at him, he growled. "Why are you waiting until now to tell me, Drayton?" "Because Wilder wouldn't." Harper looked to Wilder. "It wasn't that important, father." Harper put his hand to his mouth. It would have done no good to say anything to Lysol, but what he would do would hurt him more and teach him discipline. Chapter 30. How do I look? Lysol said, asking Wilder and Drayton's opinion as he dressed in his tux to go to the prom. You look like me, Drayton said. What's the big deal? But I'm getting some tonight and you're going to be left with your cock swinging in the wind or falling in love with your hand. Now that's a big deal, Lysol said to Drayton with a smile. Wilder just looked at them and continued dressing. Why don't you two grow up? You're going to be yearlings in a matter of weeks. And you're still arguing like two pups over who brought down a deer. Doesn't matter. We look all the same. Wilder straightened his tie and placed his tux jacket on. That's what you think. Our dates know the difference in us. I'm the one with the great personality and you're the one girls think is odd, and Drayton, they don't know what to think of him. I'll see you two at the apartment after the prom, Lysol said after picking up his date's flowers and bounding down the stairs where Harper and Emily stood watching. I hope they're careful, Emily said to Harper after Wilder gave her a kiss. I'll make sure of that. It's not like they're females, Harper said with a smile of relief. You didn't tell me what you have planned for my sons, Emily said. Harper gave her a kiss, took her hand, and they strolled up the stairs and turned to go to their room. If I told you what's going on with your sons, you would never let them out of the house and you would drive me crazy. He closed the door behind him. Now that they will be out of the house and the moon is full, there are some things I have to take care of before I leave you. Emily smiled at him. What do you have in mind? Emily said as she dropped her robe. That was exactly what I had in mind, Harper said as he walked close to Emily and watched at the full moon. When Lysol drove up to pick up his date, he stepped out of the car and walked up to the house and rang the bell. A pretty girl with dark hair and a pleasing smile came to the door. She opened the door and he stepped in. He didn't see her beautiful dress and she expected a compliment, but Lysol wasn't the type to give compliments. Elise. He handed her a corsage and pinned it on her, and then he smiled. Those are beautiful, she said, looking in the mirror. When he looked behind him, her father was standing behind with a dry gaze. Have my daughter home early? Yes, sir. I know your father and he will make sure you're on your good behavior. What's your name? Lysol, sir. I thought your name was Wilder. Maybe I got that wrong. Wilder is his brother, father. Lysol didn't wait to hear another lecture. He was tired of lectures. He couldn't wait until he became a yearling. Then he could do what he wanted and not have to answer to his mother and father or the teachers or his date's fathers. Closing the door behind, he looked back to see the girl's father and mother peeping through the blinds. What's up with your mother and father? I've never had a date before. Lysol opened the car door like a perfect gentleman, but when he closed the door he said in a whisper, "Fuck me." Jumping into the car he turned to the girl and said, I thought you said you've had lots of dates. That's my sister. But I did ask you to the prom. Yes, and I accept it. When you saw me at the locker you came up to me and asked me to go to the prom. What's your name? Alicia. Lysol put the brakes on and the car stopped with a shake. But I thought I asked Karen to the prom. She's my sister. I'm one of triplets and she's going with Wilder. And my other sister is going with Drayton. Lysol drove in silence. In 10 minutes later he reached the building in Samsaville where they were holding their prom. When he was pulling into park, Wilder and Drayton were driving up. They walked up to the door, 3 handsome werewolf brothers and 3 human females on their arms, and equally as pretty as the Samsa brothers are attractive. They turned to look at each other and then a laugh broke. How could they have the same taste in girls? Least it was in looks. The girls with dark flowing hair and green eyes. The Samsa men dark hair and deep crystal blue eyes. After they escorted them into the building and to their tables, they sat for a few minutes. Then the girls said that they would be back and they too off in the direction of the bathroom. Wilder, you have my date, Lysol said. I knew something was wrong when I picked her up, and she was trying to unzip my pants and pull out my cock. I had to fight her off of me. When we turned the corner away from her home, she began rubbing on my thighs, and when I asked her to stop, she raised her dress and placed her hand under her dress and said, Feel it. It wants you. I looked down and she didn't have panties on. What the fuck, Wilder? How did that happen? I get the virgin and you get the one on fire, Lysol said. I guess I got the right one, Drayton said. The boring one, Lysol said. What are we going to do about it? Wilder asked. You're going to keep the firecracker and get your dick sucked, and I'm going to be corrupting another virgin. When they glanced up, the girls were strolling in their direction and a slow-moving song was playing by the DJ. Oh shit, I can't dance, Wilder said. And they look like they are ready to dance. Lysol stood up with Drayton and walked to take their hands and lead two of them to the dance floor. I want to dance, Wilder, come dance with me. Wilder stood and took Karen's hand and led her to the floor. Karen put two hands around Wilder's neck. You can't be scared of me, Karen said. I'm not afraid of you, Wilder said. I just thought you were my date and I find out I asked your sister to the prom, not you. We look alike. What difference does it make? And she got closer to him and whispered in his ear. If you don't want to fuck me, I will understand. I just want to see that large cock I've been hearing about. You must mean my brother, Lysol. He's the one to give you what you're looking for. But I don't want him. That's why I convinced my sister to change dates with me. I want you. You don't date and girls have wanted to get with you, and now I have that chance. Don't tell me you don't want me because I feel how hard you are. Wilder was happy when the dance came to the end, and he was more than happy when the prom ended. Lysol invited people to his apartment, Karen said to Wilder, who glanced up at Lysol, and he was whispering in Alicia's ear, and from the blush on her face he was getting ready to score with her. As the prom ended and Lysol and his date, Wilder and his date, and a smiling Drayton holding hands with his date were walking out. They got caught in a crowd and Wilder leaned over and touched Lysol on the shoulder and said, I need to speak to you. He took Lysol's arm and left the girls standing on the outside with Drayton. They soon circled Drayton asking him questions. They were laughing and one was raking her hands through his hair. Where are we going, Drayton? One girl giggled. There's a party at Lysol's apartment. There's drinks and food for everyone. Standing and looking over his date's shoulder and listening to Wilder talk, Drayton listened closely. I'm not compatible with my date. We're not like-minded. I want my date back. Wilder complained to Lysol. You can't have her, Lysol said. Can't you see it's the full moon and Karen is in heat? You better get it when you can, because next week when Father takes us out into the wilderness you will have wished you snuggled into her warm flesh, Lysol said. Why do you think everything is about fucking? I just want to have an intelligent conversation with someone who thinks the way I do. No one thinks the way you do, so try to enjoy yourself for once. The girls look just alike, they're pretty. Only you care if you can talk to them. You shouldn't be talking anyway. Look at Drayton. I bet he scores before you, and he's never had a date. When they turned around, Drayton and the three girls were trekking over to Lysol and Wilder. Are we ready to go? Drayton asked. Lysol leaned over to Wilder. See, Drayton's not acting like you. All serious. Try to lighten up for a change. Wilder exhaled through his teeth. Karen grabbed Wilder's arm and said, Come on, tall, dark and handsome. We have unfinished business. I'm looking for a trophy tonight. He didn't understand what she meant. He didn't have any sisters and he didn't understand the trophy business. Just what did she mean? Wilder wouldn't have to wonder for long.